Hey, happy Saturday, January 9th to you. We continue our devotional readings for the month of January using our FUMC CV prayer calendar. And the prayer ministry has given us scriptures every day to read, to study, and their encouragement is that we would write them. So each day after I film this, or each time after I film this, because sometimes I'll do multiple in a day, I'll get out my journal and I'll write these scriptures down just so it just helps us to embody them, remember them, live them a little bit more. So today is from Second Peter, the book of Second Peter. So go all the way to the end of the Bible and you will find the book of Revelation. Just before that is the book of Jude, which is really a page. Just before that is the letter of John, the third letter of John, half a page. Before that, second letter of John, another half a page. First letter of John, 3 pages, then Peter. So you're literally like 15 pages from the end of your Bible. Find 2 Peter. We're going to be in chapter 3, verse 10. I'm going to read the passage, and then we're going to talk about it and break it down a little bit. All right. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief, and then the heavens will pass away with a loud noise, and the elements will be dissolved with fire, and the earth and everything that is done on it will be disclosed. Since all these things are to be dissolved in this way, what sort of persons ought you to be in leading lives of holiness and godliness, waiting for and hastening the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be set ablaze and dissolved, and the elements will melt with fire. But in accordance with this promise, we wait for new heavens and a new earth where righteousness is at home. These books of Peter and John and Jude and Revelation, all of them are written very late in Christian history compared to the other works in the Bible, the other books in the Bible. And they're all written during times of great persecution. So Christians, if you want to hear more about the persecution, go to yesterday's lesson where we're talking about Hebrews, but really terrible persecution that is happening. You know, we don't often talk about sort of the end times and it's going to be better in the end. I mean, we live a pretty good life, right? I mean, even in the midst of a pandemic, like I'm sitting in my house, I've got clothes, food. No one's going to torture me tonight because of my faith. I'm not in doubt about where my provisions are going to come from tomorrow. Yes, there's a pandemic, but there's many ways we understand how it spreads. And so if I really want to be safe and keep other people safe, I can do that. I mean, even in a global pandemic, I have a very comfortable life. And so really Christianity for me becomes not so much about the afterlife. It's about making this life better. This life better for me and this life better for other people. I make this life better for me by living being a good steward of what God has taught me and being a good person and being a good father and a good friend and I make this life better for others by being a blessing to them and living according to certain values that welcome people and that share what I have. And it's really about living the Christ life in this life. And we always know we'll get to the next life at some point, but it's really for us in the Western world especially, it's really about this life. But for these folks who life was painful and torturous because of the persecution, disease was rampant, there was war, famines all the time, a huge portion of their Christianity was focused on staying faithful through all of the trials and tribulations of life, so that at the end you were found to be faithful and therefore could inherit this new heaven and this new earth. And so, because life was so difficult, a huge focus on the afterlife. The reverse of that true for us, because life is relatively comfortable, less of a focus on the afterlife, more of a focus on living this life in Christ-like ways. And so that's what the people are facing. What I want you to see, though, is that they're asking the same question of themselves that we ask of ourselves. And it's right there in verse 11, at the end of verse 11. So let me read all of verse 11. Since all these things are to be dissolved in this way, what sort of persons, and here's the question, what sort of persons ought you to be in leading lives of holiness and godliness? What sort of persons ought you to be in leading lives of godliness and holiness? That question doesn't change. Amidst the great persecution, what kind of people are you going to be? Godly and holy. Amidst the comfort of the world in which we live, what kind of persons are you going to be to give evidence of your holiness and godliness? The question is the same. The context might be very different. But those people in that day, they were trying to live holy and godly lives given the world in which they lived. Today, as we begin this new year, 2021, near the top of every one of our New Year's resolutions should be to live a life this year that's more holy and more godly than we've ever lived before. May that set the tone for the year ahead. God bless. Have a great day. I hope this is helpful to you.